Welcome to Employee Termination Tips. My name is Christopher Neufeld of Neufeld Legal, and in this video we're going to be discussing vacation pay misconceptions. Now, what's particularly important to vacation pay before we get into it is that vacation pay is heavily dependent upon both the laws of the jurisdiction within which you're working, that's the province or state that has its laws, and it can even be federal laws that can dictate it, as well as the contractual arrangements that you have with your employer. So these misconceptions, certain aspects might apply in one location of the world, but they might not apply to your particular situation. So you have to be very clear about this, in that it might be applicable that a certain vacation pay claim is correct, but it might not be applicable for where you're working. So you got to be very careful about that. But let's get on to and understand what some of these misconceptions can be, because even though they apply in certain locations, they might not necessarily apply in other locations, and more particularly where you are working. And when they don't apply and you haven't been paid your proper vacation pay, and especially when you're terminated, it's very important to understand what the implications of that are, because you could be losing out on thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars, because you simply haven't reviewed and sought out competent legal counsel to understand what the impact is if the vacation pay rules have not been correctly applied to your situation. And all too often, they aren't correctly applied in certain jurisdictions because they're just standardized, they're just simplified, and they're applied across all of North America. And that's not how it works. Every jurisdiction has its own set of rules, and vacation pay, just like statutory holiday pay, needs to follow the rules, whether it's by statute or by contract or some combination of two. So let's get to tackling these misconceptions. Misconception number one: if I'm paid my regular pay while on vacation, I've received my vacation pay. Now, that can apply in certain circumstances, but it depends both on the contract and the law. Because in certain circumstances, that statement by itself can be inaccurate. Number two, vacation pay is payable on my base salary or base hourly pay. Once again, there can be far more to it. In certain jurisdictions, that might be correct, but it doesn't apply everywhere, and you got to be aware of that. You got to understand what your situation is. Number three, vacation pay is payable on my wages. Once again, we need more specifics, and especially in Canada, it's provincially specific. Number four, vacation is use it or lose it. Once again, you need to go to the employment standards legislation and review the obligations of employers to confer vacation. It is incumbent oftentimes on employers to provide vacation time. That is a requirement, and how it works out and how it's dealt with is heavily dependent upon how the law works. And you can't simply have a use it or lose it scenario in a lot of jurisdictions. Number five, employees must track their vacation time. Once again, there's no obligation imposed on the employer as to vacation time and vacation pay. Something that's not entirely accurate. Employers are required to control vacation pay as well as vacation time. There is actually an obligation on the part of employers in many jurisdictions based on employment standards legislations. Number six, employees can choose their vacation time. Now, this is from the employee standpoint. Once again, employers do have considerable discretion with respect to choosing the time when vacations occur, but there has to be within reasonable limits, and there has to be of sufficient length allowed to those vacations. Number seven, 2 weeks is standard vacation. So Although employment standards legislation in Canada at least starts at 2 weeks, it does go up over time. And in some provinces, it goes up to 4 weeks. And these are just the minimums. You also need to be looking at the contracts, and the collective bargaining agreements often give considerably more time for vacation. Number 8, you don't lose unused vacation when you quit or are fired. So you need to look especially at applicable vacation pay arrangements, and those must still be paid upon your termination, your firing, or even when you quit your job. There are obligations that are either set out in contract or more often set out in the legislation that governs employment standards, and you have to look to that. These items all should be looked at. You can't simply look at them from 100 miles above, quick internet scan even, or simply looking at a peripheral view of your pay statements to understand whether or not your vacation time and vacation pay has been properly attended to by your employer, especially when you're terminated, fired, or quitting your job. You need to understand it properly, because once again, it's too easy, and we've seen it too often, that vacation pay, vacation time is not properly accorded with the jurisdiction within which you are working with. And that is because of an oversimplification, over-centralization of payroll systems and employment arrangements. And the sooner you know that, and the sooner you recognize that, the sooner you understand the problems attendant with vacation pay and vacation time, and that you must deal with them, especially deal with them when you're ending your job that you've been working for a long time. Otherwise, like I said before, there is the potential for losing out on thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars of earned money that is required by statute if the statute provides so. So hopefully that's provided some guidance and insight into how you deal with such circumstances. Thank you.